Welcome to the CITS video series.
So this session is going to talk about the new user progress tool in Desire to Learn version 10.1. And here we are in a course that's been set up for training with the new look and feel of 10.1. And if we go into My Tools and click on User Progress, what we get is a slightly different look and feel. Now, before I talk about each of the different tools or looks in user progress, I want to mention that it's always good to look at what's in settings and what's under these little arrows, drop-down arrows. So I'll show you that this drop-down arrow allows you to filter your class list by users or by groups. So if you have your class set up in groups, you can look at it in different groups. And we'll look at settings in a minute. So in the user progress tool, it is course specific, and that's really good to know because when it looks at logins and when the student last logged in, it's looking at when they last logged into your course when you look at it for your course. Right now we can see that we're going to see user progress for Dropbox folders, content, logins, and grades. Now the settings tool or link here, as you can see, has Dropbox, content, login, and grades. Those 4 items that we saw listed across the top. Now, if we're not using, for example, the content completion tool in our course, we can switch that out and put in discussions. So I'll select that. And now when we save and close, and go back to the class progress tool, we see that we have discussion posts that we can look at. You'll notice that for each tool, we'll see some different colors. And if we hover over each color in the graph, it will tell us which, in the case of the grades, it'll tell us what grade item it is and the score. And the colors indicate if the student was above average, average, or below average. And we can also see with discussions how many they read, how many they posted, how many replies they posted. With the Dropbox folder, when we hover over these items, we can see which Dropbox item it is and what score they received. And with the logins, while there are none showing here, when a student logs in, we'll see when they logged in and from where. So, like I said before, these login histories are specific to your course. And unlike the past when it was just in general for Desire to Learn. So that's the first piece that you get to look at, and that's just a general overview for everyone in the course. Now, if I go in and I can drill down if I click on Charlie Brown's name. And it will pull up some specifics for him. First, we get in the upper left, we get his email, we get the ability to send an instant message, which ends up here. You'll see it under the messages tool. So we can contact the student and say, hey, I need to talk to you, and please come see me during office hours. Then below that we have reports for this course. We have a summary, and we have, in this case, 6 different reports that we can look at. Remember I mentioned settings. I'm going to click on that. That's going to allow us to modify some things. So we had 6 reports that were visible. There's really 9 reports total. So I'm going to put a check mark on all those. We can also change the colors that are on those graphs that appear. So if we want to go with, say, a red and a blue and yellow, we can do that. We can also change the percentages. So if for them to be really on track and doing great work, we want to say 80% and above. If there's some concern, they're at 50% and above, I would say 60. And then if they're at risk, that's somewhere between 0 and 60. So we'll say save and close. And now when we look at the reports, you can see there's a much longer list here. And we'll notice that we can click on each of these reports individually. So first we'll look at grades, and we can see that we have blues and yellows. So Charlie Brown's not doing real great on his grades. There aren't any reds. Remember, red was our good score. We can drill down into feedback for this practice drop box that has a grade on it and see reading and you were late with your feedback, with your homework. So you did a good job, but you were late. So you got marked down. We can see all the grades, and when there's feedback, drill down and look at it. Objectives are, if you use them, you can go in and take a look at those. Content, we can see how the students are doing in terms of completion. And if you use the autocomplete or the manual complete, you can see where they're at with each of the modules in the course. So depending on how far along, you can see how they're doing, and you can also see a course total up at the top. So for Charlie Brown, he spent 5 minutes and 21 seconds, and he's got quite a bit done in this module on sample structure and a little bit in program information, and that's it. Oh, and he's got the last module a little bit there. So we can see what they're doing in content. Discussions, we can go in and see what they've done in each individual discussion. We can actually go in and look at the details. Let's take a look at this one here. And I think he just went in and looked at them and didn't really do much else. So nothing was posted, so that's all we're going to see. All right, for the Dropbox, we get some nice feedback here. We get not only the feedback we give the student, but if there's a rubric tied to it, we'll see that, which is really nice, and how we scored it. We'll close that. We can see the submission the student put in. We see the rubric score and the final score that they receive. And we can see that for every Dropbox submission. Quizzes, we'll see their score and what they, for each attempt. Checklist, if you're using that tool, you'll see how they're doing. Surveys, and then login history. And here we can see that on November 19th, at 326 from this IP address. Charlie Brown logged in, and here's another login, and now he's been absent for 48 days. That's not very good. That's probably why he doesn't have any red in his summary of his performance in his grades. So this is all customizable for you as an instructor, but let me show you that when we impersonate a student and look at what they can see, we'll go impersonate Charlie Brown, go to content, and okay, so here's, oops, I didn't want to go to content. Here's user progress. And under user progress, notice that we have a summary, we have all those reports, and Charlie Brown is seeing exactly what we as instructors see. So the nice thing about the user progress is you can sit down with the student and go over this and say, here's where you're at as things progress over the next 2 weeks with discussions and homework and quizzes. As they get submitted and they're graded, you can follow them here and see exactly what I see, and we'll look for some more of those blues to turn to red and yellows to turn to blue. And so you can actually coach the student to look at the user's progress and to look for those changes in performance. And so Desire to Learn has included a much better user progress tool, and I think that we're going to see that it's going to be really useful for us as we work with students who are at risk especially. But if we point it out to our students, all our students I think are going to find it very useful, not just those who are at risk, but our STAR students as well. They're going to find it very useful. So that's the user progress tool. I hope you like it. And that's it for today. Thanks for joining me.
Brought to you by CITS, making work cooler for a really long time.